do want to start us off because I got so bored in my econ class today. My teacher was literally eating a Subway sandwich in front of us. It was
I
funny,
haven't had Subway in so
but
long.
I got so bored that I decided to go on NBA.com and I was like, you know what? It's about 2 weeks or so, a little over 2 weeks since the James Harden trade that happened on the 13th. Let's see what all four teams, the status of their, I don't know, how they've changed, if anything's changed. And the one big thing that I jumped on, I was all looking at the splits, all the stats from what happened before. And I kind of want to get your reaction. I have pretty much one stat for every team and then one overall stat. I'll start with the overall stat because this is the coolest one. I mean, you probably have to take the rest of them with a grain of salt. But I thought when we first discussed the trade, that it was very, very equal in the sense that I thought every team got better in some way. And according to this stat, they pretty much have. Indy, every team has moved up in the standings since the trade. Indy moved up one spot from fourth to third. That's not much, but it's still an improvement. Brooklyn went from sixth to fourth. Houston went from 14th to 10th after going 4-2 since that trade, which is pretty cool. And Cleveland has gone from 10th into a tie for sixth. I don't know what they are officially, but they have a tie for sixth record. So that was a really interesting one. All four teams improved. Now, if we get into the actual, going into every team, we can start with Indiana because I think this is very interesting. They have been able to keep every single statistic relatively the same since the trade. Offense has gone down by maybe one or two ranks in various stats, and I assume that's mainly because LeVert's not playing yet, which is impressive because I think when LeVert starts playing, those numbers will start to go up. So Indiana, I think, is on track to get better when and if LeVert starts playing. I don't know what his timetable is for return. Cleveland ranked last in the NBA in scoring before the trade. They averaged 98.9 points a game. Since I know they had a double overtime game when they scored 140 against Cleveland, but they've played Cleveland, Brooklyn. They've played some of the better defenses in the league. That's the Celtics and the Lakers. And they averaged 121 points a game since that trade in their last, I think it's through 5 games, which is the timetable of Allen and Prince started playing the 20th. So that was very interesting. They way up. And then they're all actually on the season averaging 6.5 more points per game, which is very interesting. So now we get into Houston, Brooklyn. And I think this really makes James Harden look like kind of a bum here. Because before the Harden trade, Houston was 22nd defensive rating. Since they got the trade, they're first in defensive rating since the trade, number 1. And they've moved up to 4th overall in defensive rating. And Brooklyn got worse in every single defensive statistic except blocks since the trade. I mean, obviously they have gotten a couple overtime games, but their offensive rating before the trade was 114.1, defensive 108.9, which is a net rating of 5.2. And then I'm going to end with this. Since that trade, that net rating has shrunk into 0.8. 5.2, and it's shrunk into 0.8. Yikes.